Atlantica Apartments. Opposite a core tourist and resort center. It is an apartment for the rich and those that want to be rich. Do you know you can buy the future if you know where to shop? Do you know that Dangote refinery will be opened by December with about 70,000 workers and 2,000 engineers? Atlantica Apartments is at the heart of it all, just directly beside the zone. It is a 2-bedroom apartment with infrastructure. When you buy Atlantica Apartments, you have bought the future.
Meet FISAYO, OKUNSANYA. FISAYO OKUNSANYA is a strategy and business development professional. Over the years, he has developed skills and experience as a business analyst and project manager, working with teams in several engagements in different sectors in Nigeria. FISAYO was responsible for preparing the Nigeria Banking Industry Review as in-depth of the banking industry as well as the health of the banks within the industry. He has held strategic leadership positions in some companies. He was practice lead of ARC Minister, a management consulting firm, and chief operating officer at Verse 29 Group, a QSR business with outlets in Ore, Lokoja, and Yenagoa. He now serves as the business development director of the Medical Credit Fund in Nigeria, a part of Farm Access Group. As a trainer, he has designed programs and facilitated training sessions for banks and other organizations across Nigeria, in Ghana, Kenya, and Norway.
I want to talk about, I've been asked to talk about how you can turn your business into a million generating machine. But Tade knows what I do, and he's a very close brother, and I think I consider it a privilege, especially given the days of speakers that's here. Now, I know that a lot of the speakers would have given you very practical things to use. I mean, when you talk about John Obidi, John is going to do that. These guys are all guys that we know. So I want to backtrack a bit. I want to backtrack and go into a foundation of why you need to do what they will be telling you to do or what they have told you to do, so that everything you have heard today and yesterday becomes like a balanced diet of what you need. So I want to backtrack, because if you understand the why, then the how comes to you, and then you know things become easy. So I want to backtrack a little, and I want to base my title or base my speech on a premise. I have very little time to spend with you today, so I'm going to go straight to the point. I want to start by sharing on a conceptual level and a conceptual understanding, and then I would share a bit about a practical. So if you learn conceptually, actually that's the way we should learn, right? If you learn conceptually, then it's easy to apply practically. So I want to start with a premise. One, that premise is that you will prosper as your soul prospers, right? And I want to put that at the back of your mind, that you will prosper as your soul prospers, that your wealth and your prosperity, your growth and your capacity, everything, your wealth, your prosperity, your growth, your cash flow, everything is tied not to something that's about to happen on the outside. Everything is tied to something that is on the inside, right? And that word is your soul. Now, that's where I'm going to stay. I'm going to break down what it means, because you need to understand this. If you take care of your soul, everything else falls in place, right? So you are expected to prosper as your soul prospers, which means that the level of prosperity you are showing in your life today is a direct reflection of what's on the inside of you. Look, there's no point trying to form. There's no point trying to fake it till you make it. There's no point trying to do any of those things. When you come into a room, before you open your mouth, when you come into a room, when people see you, you are reflecting what is on your inside, right? By the time you open your mouth, it's even as a man thinks in his heart, so it is, right? So it's a bigger reflection of you, right? So the soul. Now let's take this down. The soul is the seat of your intellect and your emotions, two things. And I'll say it again because I want you to write it down and take note. Your soul is the seat of your intellect and your emotions. Now, this speaks broadly about two aspects of your life. Remember that the premise of this entire thing is that you will prosper as your soul prospers. So your future, your growth, your wealth, everything you are going to, the kind of quality of life you enjoy is dependent on what is inside your soul. In fact, the Jews believe that true wealth is inside of you, is knowledge. They believe that it's portable, which means that it doesn't matter which land I put you in. If you have wealth on the inside of you, you will reproduce the quality of life that you have wherever I put you. Which means that you can be a global citizen if you work on your soul, which means if I put you in the US or I put you in Afghanistan tomorrow, in a short while, you will go back to the quality of life you are living in Nigeria, right? Essentially, it means that a lizard in Nigeria can never become an alligator anywhere else, right? You need to understand this. Now, so your soul is the seat of your intellect and your emotions. So I'm going to divide this speech into two broad areas, your intellect and your emotions. So remember I said I want to backtrack and tell you why you need to do the things that these speakers will tell you. And I'll tell you some of those things, but I know that instead of clashing with them and speaking the things that we know, because the truths are universal, we're going to probably say similar things. I want to backtrack a bit and key into their speech and key into them so that you understand why. Now, like I said, your soul is the seat of your intellect and your emotions. Your intellect consists of your competence and your capacity. I'm taking it slowly and I want you to follow me. Please don't get tired. Your intellect consists of your competence and your capacity, which is everything you bring to the table in terms of what you can do. Your intellect consists of what you can do, your competence and your capacity. Remember, your soul is the seat of your intellect and your emotions. So you will prosper as your intellect and your emotions prosper. Your intellect, if you break it down, is the seat of your competence and your capacity. Your emotions is the seat of your maturity and your relationship management, right? Which is why I understand when Mr. Ayani was talking about how you connect to create cash flows. Is the same principle is true. Your intellect is the seat of your competence and your capacity. Your emotions are the seat of your maturity and your relationship. So you will prosper as your intellect, your capacity, your maturity, and your relationship management prospers, right? The better you get at these four things, the easier it is to create wealth. The better you get at these four things, the easier it is to create cash flow. The better you get about these things, the easier it is to create assets and sweat assets and keep creating cash flows, right? So you will prosper as your soul prospers. Now, in terms of delving into it, because I don't have a lot of time, I will start with your emotions and then go into your intellect, right? Now, your emotions. I want to tell you three things about your emotions that you must master. Now, when I say emotions, I don't mean it in terms of what we usually know about emotions. Remember, I'm talking about your maturity and your relationship management. These are direct laws that you have to obey if you want nature to respond to you, and if you want money to respond to you, and if you want wealth to flow to you naturally, right? So if I speak about your emotions, there are three things I'll tell you about your emotions. The first one is that people are nature's priority. People are God's priority. Look, the earlier you learn this, the better, right? I see a lot of people who go into business, they're trying to hustle, they're trying to do this, and they say, oh, you know, people are funny, I don't really like people, I like money. Then you're deceiving yourself, right? People are nature's priority, people are God's priority, which means that the law of wealth creation and the law of cash flow, right? The law of wealth creation and the law of cash flow is that the more people you impact, the more money you are allowed to make and keep. I'll say that again. The more people whose lives you place an impact on, the more money you are allowed to make and keep. So this is it. If you see someone that makes a lot of money, makes more money than you legitimately, you have to believe that the person knows something that you don't. Now, in this school of learning, there's no arrogance. In fact, there's no room for arrogance. And you cannot be arrogant and be poor. You have to choose your struggle. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you're arrogant and you're poor, you're going to end up being a philosopher. And it's nothing as bad as a poor philosopher, because you will speak a lot of concepts that you cannot back up with results, right? Now, like I said, the more people whose lives you touch, the more money you are allowed to make and you are permitted to keep. And the first step towards creating money is having a heart that aligns with people and their needs, right? The first step towards creating money is having a heart that aligns with people and their needs, which means that innovation is reserved for those whose hearts are aligned with people and their needs, which also means that innovation is scarce or will be scarce from those whose hearts do not align with people and their needs. Remember, we're talking about your emotions, which means there's a level of prosperity you can never enter into, which means you can go into money for the business for the purpose of making money. There's no problem. You will make some money, but there's a level of prosperity you will never enter into if you don't align with people and their needs. In fact, there's certain levels of money you will never see until you break free, until your heart breaks free and enters into a certain level of love for people. Right? You will find out that yes, you'll be comfortable, but there's a ceiling over whatever you do until your heart breaks into a certain level of love. Right? And so this is the first thing I'll tell you about your emotions, right? That people are nature's priority, and the quicker you align with people, the faster you'll be able to create innovative solutions that can bless them and that can bless your bank account. Right? Innovation will be scarce from those who are not aligned with people. In fact, if you're not aligned with people, you will never find solutions. People will come with solutions and you'll be asking yourself, why didn't I think of that? Now, the reason you didn't think of that because your heart was in the wrong place, sir. Your heart was in the wrong place, man. As a result of that, you couldn't create cash flow. You couldn't create a business. You couldn't create something that people were willing to pay you for. That's one. Two, wealth is transferred through families. Look, listen to me. This is a spiritual principle. There's no other way. Wealth is transferred through families. However, families don't have to be biological. So some people get blindsided and think when we say families, we say biological. No. In your journey through life, God sends you people. Like Tade. Tade is my brother. I consider him a brother, which means that I don't play with Tade. When Tade invited me to come and speak, I went to carry my book to study. Unlike where I speak, maybe you're a gifted speaker and you speak naturally. I took my book and I wrote down everything I was going to say because I don't play with Tade. I know that Tade takes everything he does seriously, right? I have brothers like that, praise for. I have brothers like that, but are my brothers. Because in the journey of life, life sends you people that may start as friends but end up as family members. Listen, your future is entwined with that. Now, this modus operandi of nature and of God is one that goes after your pride and your arrogance. We always say it to ourselves, and I wonder when people say it, like, is it the one that's feeding me? You should get out. May you not say that to someone whose future is intertwined with yours. May you not squander a relationship whose future is intertwined with yours. Because God uses men, right? Nature deploys men to do work for you. And in this life, your future and your life and your capacity to create wealth is tied to many other people. Sometimes you meet them, your ability to manage the relationship with them will determine how far you go in life. I have several friends who have opened doors for me, right? They have opened doors for me because they tested the trust, they tested my motive, and they saw the love, and then they opened doors for me. So many people squander those relationships because sometimes those people appear in packages that you don't expect. They appear in a package that seems like someone that can never give you anything. Listen, you must understand that wealth is created by families, yeah? And life will give you brothers and sisters that are not biological, and these people will create wealth for you. If you are a recluse in life, if you are one of those who cuts themselves off from people, I'm not talking about not just your ability to network. If you are one of those who cuts yourself off from people out of arrogance, then you are playing with poverty actively. You are playing with several streams of income. You may be so competent that you feel you don't need anybody. You are playing with another stream of income that can make your cash flow easy. Wealth is transferred through families. However, families don't have to be biological. There are friends that will stick to you closer than a brother. Hold them. Sometimes rancor will come between you people and make you want to fight. Hold them. Don't play with them. As you progress through life, you will find out that these relationships will come. These people will come to you, and you need to recognize it. Your personal recognition system must be active in such that it recognizes that this person is a friend, this person wants the best for me, this person is a door. My goal must be to cultivate this relationship. Too many people, especially competent people, they don't spend enough time cultivating relationships. Right? That's the second thing about your emotions. The third thing about your emotions, I will tell you, is that there are certain doors in life that open from both sides. And I'm speaking metaphorically now. There are certain doors in life that have handles on the inside and handles on the outside. You can open them from both sides. However, at a certain level in life, there are doors that only have handles on the inside. There is no handle on the outside, which means someone must open the door for you. If you squander relationships, especially access, when people give you access, if you squander that access, they will never open the door for you. You have to master this. And this is an art that very few people can master. You have to master the art of making people comfortable in your presence, right? You have to master the art of making people comfortable with you in the room. The first law of doing that is confidentiality. And I know these things sound like common sense, but they are. Confidentiality. If you don't learn to be confidential, if you don't learn to be discreet, if you don't learn to keep secrets, and people test you and they find that you can't keep secrets, they will never be confident with you in the room. If people are not confident with you in the room, then when the real deals are being signed and when the real discussions are being made, they will find a way to ensure that you are excused. And when you are excused from those discussions, you are excused from the alerts, you are excused from the cash flow. Right? You need to find a way to minimize yourself. If you have a very strong personality with strong opinions and you want to enter into certain circles, find a way to minimize not yourself but your presence. Right? Find a way to minimize the effect of your overbearing nature on people. Now, I'm not saying you should undershine. No, that's different. Find a way to ensure that you don't take up all the space in the room every time, because you will miss out a lot on what people are doing or what people want to do. Listen more so that you can hear what people think and what people want to do. This means that you must carefully manage your relationships so that people are comfortable with you in the room. Now, if you master this, then you have mastered your emotions. Sometimes you want to say something out of anger, you must learn that the meek shall inherit the earth. Not the world, but the earth. The earth is resources, which means that anytime you have the power to do something and the wisdom not to do it, you inherit resources. Listen, I'll say it again. Anytime people know that you have the power to do something, but you exercise the wisdom not to do it, they find a way to open doors to you that give you resources that end up in assets that you can sweat or ideas that you can make money from. You must listen to this. This is very, very, very serious. So that takes care of the emotions. Those are three things I want to tell you about the emotions. The other things I want to tell you is about the intellect. Remember that the premise on which I started was that you will prosper as your soul prospers. And then I said the soul is the seat of the intellect and the emotions. And then so you will prosper as your intellect and your emotions prosper. And the intellect is your capacity and your competence. Your emotions is your maturity and your relation and the way you manage relationships. Now listen. So we took care of the emotions and we said three things. We said one, that people are nature's priority and you have to learn to work and abide with people. We said two, wealth is transferred through families, maybe not biological, but through families. And life will send you people who will end up being families. But if you squander the relationship or you stone them out of your life, then you may never get the benefits. And you will start complaining, you're lacking, you're poor. And nature is looking at you and say, but I sent you people, I sent you billionaires, I sent you, all these relationships, and you just squandered them because you were looking to God, but you were mistreating people. You can never consistently be blessed by God if you mistreat people. I say that again. You can never consistently be blessed by God if your mode of operation is to mistreat people. Why? Because people are God's priority. The third thing I said was that there are certain doors that have handles from the inside and for the outside are open on the inside and the outside, but at a certain level, especially in policy, politics, and a certain level of business, there are certain doors whose handles are only on the inside, which means someone in the inside, when you are not there, has to speak about you and open the door. That means when people are not, they have to speak about you and open the door. And someone has to speak about you. Am I back now? Can you hear me? Someone has to speak about you and open the door. Now, when that person opens the door, if that person doesn't open the door, there's nothing you do. Why? Because half of the time you don't even know that people didn't open the door for you. Half of the time you are not even aware that people didn't open the door for you because you don't know when those decisions are being made. right? If you don't know when those decisions have been made, you will not know that people didn't open the doors for you, right? There's nothing you can do about it. There's really nothing you can do about it, right? Okay. There's really nothing you can do about it because you don't even know what opportunities you've lost. Now, I want to speak a bit about the intellect and your emotions. I need you to let me know because my internet went off for a while if I'm still live. So I want to speak a bit about the intellect, right? Now, the first thing you need to do is find something that people are willing to pay for, right? Find something that people are willing to pay for. Now, the reason I started with your intellect, with your emotions, is that first of all, you need to have the love before nature opens those things to you, right? So you need to find something that people are willing to pay for, right? Now, become good at something that people are willing to pay for, right? When you become good at something that people are willing to pay for, then you've created one cash flow. And this is the competence side now. You've created one cash flow. When you become good at something that people are willing to pay for, you've created one cash flow. Now, as you start to nurture that cash flow, you work with your life, with your blood, with your hours, which means that your revenue is tied to the number of hours that you put into it. Your revenue or the money you make is tied to the number of hours that you put into it, right? So when you find something that people are willing to pay for, your money is tied to the number of hours that people that you put into it, which means you are a time worker. That's one of the lowest levels, but it's good. At least you are earning revenue, right? So you are a time worker, which means that if you want to earn 1 million naira, you have to work 1 million naira. So you are a time worker. Now, the next thing you need to do, right, is to learn systems intelligence, right? You need to now learn systems intelligence, which means after you have created something that people are willing to pay for, then you need to create a system that will ensure that that thing works on its own consistently. So first of all, you start by creating something that people are willing to pay for, right? And then you work on it yourself as a sole talent. But quickly, if you want to make money and you want to increase your cash flow, you need to learn how to put it on a system. How do I put it on a system so that even when I'm not there, people are still paying me and the outcomes are as if I'm there, I'm operating it, right? Even when I'm not there, people are still paying me. So that's how you create a second cash flow. You move immediately from being a time worker to be a system earner. And there's nothing, let me tell you, as good as, in fact, there's nothing as good as earning on a system where you are not actively working, but you're earning. That's the fruit of systems intelligence, right? So immediately you start to earn when you don't work. And everybody must learn systems intelligence. A system shows you how you move from being a talent to becoming a platform, right? And if you check every industry, the platforms make more money than the talents. Right? So how do I move from being a talent who is working night and day with blood and sweat to being a platform who can now carry other talents and help them make money and make money in the process? So it starts from the second stream of income. I turn my first stream of income into a system, right? And then I become a talent. Now let me wrap it up quickly. The principle is simple. Now I want to say something and I want you to bear this in mind clearly. Because half of the time, the reason why people cannot create wealth or create other streams of income is lack of understanding, right? Now, once your understanding in any area of your life is complete, you are free in that area. There's no argument about this. You can't argue it once it's not there. You can't argue that you have understanding once it's not there because your life must bear fruit of the understanding. You understand what I'm saying? Once your understanding in any area of your life is complete, you are free in that area. Let me give you an example. Once your understanding about money and finance is complete, you can never be broke again in your life. Simple. Very simple. If you experience bouts where you still get broke, it's because your understanding of money is not complete. And I know it sounds very absolutist, but I'm telling you the truth, right? Because it's the truth. It's how money reacts. It's how money behaves, right? Once your understanding of time, money, right? Time, money, and finance is complete. You can never be broke again in your life. If you're ever broke again, maybe because you went into a project and you're in an investment phase, but you can never just be broke and say, I'm broke. I don't know where the next money is coming from. It can't happen to you. If it still happens to you, it's because your understanding is not complete. So let me share a few things with you. One, once you understand systems intelligence, you will know that you don't have to solely work with your blood and sweat, right? Now, let's take a journey. Let's say Mr. Ola starts his journey by finding something that people are willing to pay for, so he becomes good at it. He's a talent on it, and he becomes good at it. People love it. When he does it, they have good outcomes, right? What does Mr. Ola do next? Mr. Ola starts to train people and starts to build a system that ensures that when he is not there, he can still create that same thing that people love, right? That way he elongates his life. He can go on vacation. He also creates a system that can end when he's not there, so that he can use his own time and his life to start creating something else that can end. So he moves from having one stream of income to two streams of income, right? People will tell you that having more than one stream of income is not a luxury anymore, right? You need to hedge your risk, right? So he moves to having two streams of income. And if he continues with a system like that, he gets to a place where talents are earning for him. And that's what systems intelligence is, right? Now, let me tell you the last thing, the third thing I want to tell you about earning a cash flow. Time is very important. Listen to me. If you don't understand time, you may never understand wealth. If you don't understand time, you cannot understand wealth creation. And you cannot manage time. In fact, time management itself is somewhat of a paradox. Time is a master that cannot be managed. You only master time, right? Now, light determines time, which means wisdom and understanding determines the wisdom, the capacity, and the intellectual capacity you bring to a project determines how long you spend on things. Give you an example. A mechanic is fixing my car. He doesn't have the right tools. He doesn't know what to do. He spends the whole day trying to loosen the engine. But the mechanic that knows exactly what to do, has the right tools, loses it in 5 minutes. One has understanding, so he's able to collapse time, right? When you have understanding about a certain thing, you collapse time and you do things faster. The faster you do things, the more things you can accommodate in 24 hours. The more things you can accommodate in 24 hours, the more money you can make. Do you see the link? I'll go back again. When you have understanding about a certain thing, the faster you can do things, right? The faster you can do something, the more things you can do within the time that God has given us. The more things you do, the more money you make. So the key to making more money and increasing your cash flow is also, the third key is ambidexterity. Ambidexterity. You must be able to do many things in the 24 hours that you have. And the key to being able to do many things in the 24 hours that you have is to be able to do things quickly. And the key to be able to do things quickly is to improve your competence. With your competence, with the improvement of your competence comes speed, right? The key to be able to move fast is speed, right? So time is the end game. Time is the end game. The faster you can collapse time, the better your understanding. The better your understanding, the faster you can collapse time. The faster you can collapse time, the more things you can do. The more things you do within a certain period, the more money you're allowed to make. So we're selling shoes, or let's say we manufacture shoes, right? One person manufactures 3 shoes a day and sells them for 50,000 naira each, 150. Let's imagine that the market is there, right? Another person says there's a faster way to do shoes, right? There's a system way to do shoes. I'm going to do 300 shoes a day. He sells them for the same 50,000, and it seems like both of them are cobblers. They're shoemakers. One is a shoemaker, the other is a shoe manufacturer, is a cobbler. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's time. The last thing I'll tell you about intellect. So the 3 things again that I'll tell you about intellect. 1, become good at something that people are willing to pay for. 2, when you become good at something that your people are willing to pay for, put it on a system, right? So that it frees up time for you to do other things to increase your cash flow, right? And thirdly, you must understand that light determines time. So increase your competence so that you can do things faster. The faster you do things, the more things you can accommodate within time, within specified periods. The more things you can accommodate, the more money you're allowed to make, and the more cash flows you're allowed to make. Thank you so much for having me on the World Cash Flow Conference. I will take questions now. Thank you so much.
All right, Mr. Fisayo, what an amazing time. What an amazing time. I mean, we've been writing back here. It's making a lot of sense. Light determines, light determines time. It's amazing, Mr. Fisayo. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And it's time. It's time for questions and answer. Please, I would like you to ask your question by putting a Q and underscore, the question. So ask the question by typing Q underscore the question, so that we'll be able to pick out those questions and Mr. Fisayo will be able to answer it very well. Mr. Fisayo, I really appreciate what you said about timing. And you said that it's not about time management, it's about time mastery. So that we all need to master time, that the number of things we can create within the shortest period of time determine how wealthy we can be. Please, can you help us to expatiate a little bit on that time mastery? How can we really master time so that we can get more things done?
Thank you so much, my brother. So essentially, let me put it this way, in terms of mastering time. Understanding is the light I'm talking about, right? If you understand how to do something, then you don't waste time at it, right? Time is a master or a servant. Time does not play in the middle. And this is something that I think we must understand. This is why procrastination, they say, is the thief of time. Time is so valuable. Time does not play in the middle. You need to learn how to utilize it. And you can check this, and I've checked it in my research, that the most wealthy people, I'm not talking about second generation people who, they've transferred wealth to them, they behave anyhow. I mean, those who created wealth have a regimented lifestyle. You can check it. And the poor people, and I don't mean this as a derogative, but people who are at the bottom of the social ladder always assume that when they get to money, they will chill. But the rich people are not chilling. Have you noticed that those guys have a regimented lifestyle? They wake up at 4 a.m. to hit the gym. They wake up at 5 a.m. They do this. At 6 a.m. they're in the hospital. Have you noticed that even if you go up to the president, his time is not his own? He has a fully regimented schedule. It's the same thing. If you sit down and work with any politician or any governor right now, you'll find out that, say what you want about them. Some of them are in the office till 3 a.m. on the average. Fully regimented lifestyle. They cannot disappoint on the schedules that they have, right? And that is how to, that's how to manage time. You write things down, you follow it, you knock things off your list, and you follow it. Do you understand? I hope I answered your question, Tade.
Yes, very well, very well, very well. There is a question here, Mr. Fisayo, is saying that, okay, there's a question here. Okay, still answer me.
Yes.
There's a question here that says, how does system intelligence relate to passive income?
Fantastic. And I love this question because it's something I was thinking about. I said I wish I talked about, and thank you for bringing me back. So I think, and I will link it to one of the problems of Africa, because I wanted to touch Africans. I think one of the major problems with Africa is that we do not love each other. And I know you asked about system intelligence, I want to link it. And because we do not love each other, there are two things that happen to us naturally. So we sell each other out at every point, even when we go into business, politics, and everything. And so we have trust issues, right? And because we have trust issues, you will find an entrepreneur who is a sole entrepreneur, who you are asking him to, expand the business and empower others. He has trust issues, so he's not willing to build a system to empower people. He'll say, oh, what if I train them and they go? You have to understand that people are nature's priority. Train them, go. Someone else will train the people that will come to you. That's it. But so you say, what if I train them and they go? Then he says, as a result, I won't train them. That's a selfish way to think. And that's how Africans think. Oh, what if I train them and they go? And so you find out that you're the one signing all the checks, you're the one doing all the processes, you're writing checks and hiding it, you're doing all those things. You have refused to build a system. And because you have refused to build a system, and you say one day, you say, you know, I'm not taking a vacation in 5 years. It's not something to boast about. There's no system that allows you to take a vacation, right? Now, as a result, as a direct result, Africans are not builders. And I mean this the average African are not builders. We are nomads. Direct result of not trusting and not loving, right? That's why, think about it. Those that rear cows abroad in the Netherlands and in the US are ranchers. They have ranches, they build farms, mechanized farms. But those that rear the same cows in Africa are nomads. They go from farm to farm, eating people's crops and killing the owners of the farms, right? It's the same cow they are rearing, but in the Netherlands and in the US, they are ranchers. But in Africa, they are nomads. What does that tell you about us, right? If you don't learn how to build it, if you have trust issues, you will never build a system, because systems empower others. And Africans must also learn that there's a trade-off between growth and control. If you want to grow, you must let go of control. But if you're not going to let go of control, then you will not grow. And so people prefer not to grow. And it's witchcraft. They prefer not to grow because they don't want to let go of control. And that's why just think about it. Those that rear cows in the US are ranchers, which means they have ranches that some of those ranches are third generation ranches. The assets of the ranch is the ranch, not the cow. In Africa, those that rear cows are nomads. The asset is the cow. It's a serious systemic issue. So I hope I answered that question.
Yes. You answered that question very well. And there's another question here, quickly, Mr. FISAYO, that you need to answer. It says, at what rate can one build on a platform in which you tend to build your cash flow system? Though I don't understand the question myself, but I'm trying to.
I don't understand the question myself.
Okay.
Let's take the next question and come back. I see another question.
Okay. Someone says that under the intellect, you talk about managing people and you talk about time management under emotions. How do we undo prospect that seems to be playing with, oh my Jesus. Okay, how do we undo prospect that seems to be playing with that? Okay, so maybe you understand this more than me.
Yes, I understand. I think, yeah, so the question is saying, how do you handle a prospective client that's playing with your time? Right? You must have a system, a decision-making funnel for your business and a system. So for instance, I run a consulting practice, which means I sell services, right? The first meeting is free. The next meeting, you must cut a check. And this is just, it doesn't mean I don't love you. In fact, I love you with all the love I have. The first meeting I have with you, 1-2 hours, is free. It's pro bono, it's business development, right? And I adhere to that system. The next meeting, we must have an understanding that you are going to pay something. If you are calling me for the second or third meeting and we have not talked about money, then I like to waste my own time. And I don't like to waste my time. Time is too precious, right? And if I sense that at some point this person is not going to pay, and you have to be able to manage, and that's an emotional reaction, you have to manage people's body language and read it and understand, then you need to be able to cut the meeting short, right? So I hope I answered that question. How can one create an effective system that generates income with or without your presence? People, right? First thing you do is find the right people. Now, every time we talk about finding the right people, people tell me it's hard to find the right people. Let me say this. There are 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Capital is the one I like the most because it is your life, right? It's not money. Money is an expression of capital. Capital is your life. The value that you bring to something is capital. So if it's in relationships, it can be emotional capital, relational capital. If it's in money, it can be financial capital. But capital is life. Now, in your journey in life, listen to me, it's also tied to the emotional thing I was saying. In your journey in life, you will find people once in a while who bring their capital into what you're doing. Now, the reward for capital is profit, not wages or rent, which means that when you want to reward those people, you cut them into what you're doing. So I have a friend that everything we do together now. Why? We do together because we realize that each person brings capital into each other's life, and we don't fight. We don't fight. There's no point. There's no point fighting. What are we fighting for? Right? Our futures we have identified are inextricably linked. So what are we fighting over? Right? We link it and we bring each other capital. Anything we do, we cut each other into the profit of it, which means that there's now longevity. Now he is a business developer. I am more of an implementer. So you know what that means? It means that we have a system already that works. We have a system already. He doesn't need to be in a weak zone. I don't need to be in a position of weakness. We are both in a position of strength. So in terms of how do I create systems, recognize the people that come into your life. Some of you are founders, builders who come into your life. When you find a builder, use the builder, right? Use them to build and reward them with capital. Don't try and pay them wages or rent. I think that's one of the areas where people lose people the most. Someone brings capital into your life and you want to reward him with the reward for labor. It's not going to work. If someone brings capital into your life, the reward for capital is profit. Call him and say, oh boy, even if it's 2%, oh boy, I want to cut you into this thing. Because you know he's bringing capital, right? Capital is how you build systems. You know, and someone might come and his job is to take your idea to the next level. Don't be afraid and say they want to steal your business. No, you must understand risk, right? Put the business on that platform, let them understand it and take it to the next level, right? But let there be systems, legal systems that govern everything you're doing. But remember that the reward for capital is profit. So when someone brings even if you started by employing the person, if you see that the person brings their relationships, their life, their economy, everything into your business, take them off a salary, right? Or take them off just a salary and cut them in. Don't try and pay someone who brings capital, rent, or labor. You will lose them. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, thank you.